Okay, so you have just found out that your exam is in a couple of weeks' time, or you've been putting off the preparation for so long that the day has finally come. What to do if that's your case? I have 10 tips for you of what to implement in order to make sure that you use this last month in the most effective way. Let's get started. Tip number 1, prioritize English this month more than anything else, which means I know that probably you have a lot of things going on in your life, a lot of things on your plate. We all do. But if your exam is in 1 month, you need to take it really seriously and you need to prioritize English. This means when your friends are asking you to go out to have beers, you stay home, you study. When there's some things happening, so you have some options to do some fun things, you miss out on those fun things this month only, okay? Just this month, and you prioritize English, okay? There are some things that will always be more important than studying for the exam. Some family issues, obviously, but at least the part of the entertainment, I think you can put it on the back burner for a while. Number 2, give yourself an immersion experience. This involves getting a little bit crazy, and probably your family will have to bear with you for a month. Maybe they will hate you a little bit for a month, but that's okay. They love you, they will forgive that. So you need to get a little bit obsessed with learning English this month, okay, with some limits of reason, but I want you to create this English environment for yourself. This means watching movies in English, listening to podcasts in English, reading in English every single day. You need to do those things every single day. You have no time left. So you really need to maximize this time like that you have left and really use it in the best way possible. So you need to do everything in English, talk to yourself in English. Basically, you need to switch your life like from living in a foreign language to living it in English. I know it sounds a little bit unrealistic because obviously people around you probably they don't speak English, but as much as you can, okay, try to create this immersion experience. Number 3, you need people to speak with. Right. So there are some strategies that you can implement to improve speaking on your own, but the best and most natural way, that's what the language is for, is to communicate with people. At least one person, okay? Like the minimum that you need is one. So it can be a teacher, it can be a colleague as well, but my recommendation would be to work with a teacher, because very often a colleague will not be able to give you the right feedback, or they might feel uncomfortable giving you feedback because you're friends, so they don't want to criticize you. And it may be just a little bit uncomfortable for them, as I said. So my recommendation is to work with a teacher, and preferably a person who knows the specifics of the exam, because just a random teacher on italki might not be fully familiar with what you need for your exam, obviously. By the way, I offer exam reinforcement classes, which is the set of 6 intensive hours of working with me. If you're interested in that, that's basically this like last minute kit that can save you if you're in this situation. So check it out on my website. Number 4, I have already mentioned that it is possible to practice English on your own, not as effective as talking to a real person, but still, I think you need to do whatever it takes. So you can also try to record yourself, send yourself voice notes, describing what you have been doing on a given day, basically trying to speak as much as you can when you go for a walk, when you walk your dog, recording yourself, commenting on the current global events as much as you can. So whether you decide to go for some narrations, telling your past stories, commenting on current events. It's up to you, but give recording a try. I know that a lot of people have resistance around recording themselves. I hate my voice, blah, blah, blah. I heard it all the time. I share that feeling. I also don't like my voice on video or recordings. That's natural. But you need to break this barrier in your head. And that's something that I find really effective, because this is the best way to maximize the speaking time. Even if you're not getting feedback on it, you're still building the confidence. You're repeating same stories over and over again. And then when you have to tell those stories on the exam, you will definitely feel more confident, because you will trick your brain like, wait a second, like I've heard that already. I know it. It feels familiar. So there is no reason to stress about that. Number 5 is to get familiar with all of the nuances of the exam. The SLP, STANAG, JFLT exam, even they differ between the countries, right? Like, not to mention that they differ from other types of exams, like Cambridge exams. So you need to study carefully the types of tasks, the time that is given for each task, the fact whether you, for example, hear the recording once or twice, it will matter as well. So start measuring the time when you do the writing to make sure that you actually do it within the time given. You need to get familiar with the types of tasks. Are there multiple choice questions? Are there true and false questions? What types of writings you need to do for your exam? So probably the Ministry of Defense in your country published some kind of material about that. Get familiar with those, study them, and make sure that you know what is expected from you. It will make the whole preparation process way easier. This should be actually step number 1. Like, yeah, I should put it as number 1 thing to do, the first step. Number 6 is to receive feedback on your writing. Writing is probably the most difficult skill to practice, because you have to be really intentional about doing it. You actually have to sit down and do the writing. You can tell yourself that you're practicing listening or reading when you're doing things that are enjoyable, when you're watching a movie, reading the news, watching the news as well. These might be the things that you genuinely enjoy. But when it comes to writing, like, there's no other way of doing it. You just sit down and you do the writing. Obviously, you plan it, you organize it, you write it and edit it, but you actually had to sit down, give it some time. You cannot do it like, just 5 minutes. No, like, it actually, you need to spend an hour or more doing it. So you need to block some time during your day. Okay, so it's important to receive feedback, because you don't know what you don't know. So when you keep writing and you keep writing and keep writing, and it's hard to improve if you don't know what you're doing wrong. So I would say that writing is the skill that needs the most feedback, and actually very specific, constructive, and feedback focus on the exam criteria can be really effective, and it can help you to get a better score. Like, it's the fastest way to improve the score. Okay, number 7, lucky 7. You need to be very strategic and prioritize, okay? Because you have, let's say, 1 month left, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, but this means that you don't have time to revise everything. Like, that's unrealistic. You need to focus on some specific areas that are going to be covered on the exam, which is level 2 tasks, narrations, descriptions, instructions, role plays. These are the types of tasks that you need to prioritize. Level 3, you need to focus a lot on the abstract language, advanced vocabulary, and grammar structures. And this should be the areas that you work on, plus the geopolitical knowledge, world news. Okay, so you need to choose what your priorities are. Okay, because there's no time to revise vocabulary from every single area and all the English grammar. Okay, so number 8 is the continuation of that. This is especially for level 3. when you decide to learn vocabulary, again, be very selective. Learn vocabulary related to certain processes, cause and effect vocabulary, vocabulary related to change, benefits and drawbacks. Okay, so don't just decide to study a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Well, this may work for some people, but I think a better use of your time is to focus on those areas. Think, for example, how to talk about something that is controversial, what kind of vocabulary you can use, or that something is important. You always need this kind of vocabulary. Okay? You can also prioritize learning more advanced verbs, because verbs are the most powerful part of speech, and to improve your adjectives, okay, to make sure that you use a little bit more advanced adjectives than the easy ones that we tend to use, because they are available, right? So making an extra effort related to that. Okay, number 9 is to revise the basics of writing. This means to refresh your memory if you studied it in the past or just learn it for the first time. What is the correct way of writing paragraphs, right? That we need a topic sentence, we need supporting sentences, possibly with an example, with a justification, right? So that's the formula of writing paragraphs. Revise what is the structure of each particular type of writing that you need to prepare. What are some typical phrases that you need for a report? How to start an essay? What are the linking words in the essay? Be very strategic with that. Okay, and finally, number 10, I think that I haven't emphasized enough the importance of active learning. Active learning means not just playing the podcast in the background while you're doing hundreds of other things, which we tend to do as a society. We tend to multitask. We tend to focus on too many things at the same time, and we end up not fully focusing on anything. So my tip is to do some active listening exercises, especially if you want to prioritize listening. This means summarizing what you have just heard, doing the transcribing exercise. This is the one that I swear by, and so do my students. Or shadowing technique if you want to improve your speaking, pronunciation. So they are very different than just playing the podcast in the background, because you push yourself to do active strategies, to follow active strategies. Okay, so this is way more effective. Sometimes 10 minutes of active listening is way more effective than 40 minutes of playing the podcast in the background where you're driving, talking to your family, paying attention to the road, and hundreds of other things. Okay, so that's something to consider. If you want to maximize the effectiveness, focus on active strategies. And yeah, that would be it. These are my 10 tips. I wanted to keep it in 10. Of course, I have more tips on what to do, but 10 sounds like a reasonable number to focus on. And first of all, don't freak out. Stay calm. If that's your case, if you have only 1 month left, if you already have a solid level, like 1 month is enough to polish certain areas. And even if you don't feel that you have a solid level, you can still do a lot in 1 month, but you need to be very intentional. Okay, so if you feel that you are not able to do it on your own, seek help, look for support, and use the available resources. You can find a lot of resources on my website. You can ask for the exam reinforcement classes if that's what you need. If you need a boost and very specific and constructive feedback, you know where to find me. I will leave you the links in the description of the video. And good luck. Like, you can do it. I'm pretty sure that you can do it. And if not this time, next time you'll have more time to prepare. Okay, so don't give up. Okay, so I wanted to send you this message that I've seen people doing it. Okay, most of the people need more time than a month to prepare for the exam, but that's also not totally impossible. Okay, So I hope that was useful. Let me know in the comments if you feel like sharing some of your thoughts or commenting on the tips that I've given you. Wishing you a beautiful day and see you next time. Bye.